Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Nicole, and you guys are probably like, Nicole, why do you look so weird? I just finished filming a couple of videos, but guys, yeah, I still don't feel too well, so this video is not gonna be, it's a sit down video. It's a sit down video, but it's gonna be more vlog style, just because I'm really tired and like I just don't want to do like a formal video. But anyway, so this is my good angle. Guys, I've gotten a lot of questions about this, so I decided I need some content out, so let's go ahead and just talk about this. So I've been asked about different routes. Sorry, I'm like checking my emails as well. I've been asked about different routes of accounting, and a few people have reached out to me saying that they're not sure which route they should take in accounting. And I'm just here to help you guys. I'm here as a resource for you guys. So I decided, instead of just sharing the answer with a few people who've reached out to me, maybe a lot of other people also have this question. So the different types of accounting, or the different routes in accounting, are, you can, once you obtain your bachelor degree in accounting, you can become a public accountant, which is what most people do right out of college. You go work for a public accounting firm, whether it's the Big Four or mid-tier, and you are doing either auditing in public accounting, or you're doing advisory. So auditing is in its name, audit, and then you have advisory, which is consulting, pretty much. So those are the main things, and then other people go also into other areas within public accounting, such as like valuation and things of the sort, information systems auditing, where you, in the audit, you are focusing more on the softwares and the IT systems that the companies or that the clients use. So that's a part of, I guess, public accounting. And you can also go into internal audit within public accounting, as well as within private. So those are the main areas that I know about in public accounting. I'll list some more down below in the description box for you guys. Other areas, like I said, internal audit. So some people, after graduating, they don't want to do public accounting and do external audit. They want to do internal audit. So internal audit is similar to public accounting, external audit, but the only difference is you are internal auditors for your company. So you don't have clients that you go to. Your client is basically the company that you work for. And I did do, oh, my hand's hurting. And I did do internal audit. I did internal audit for a while, a little under a year. So I have some experience with internal audit. So that is also another route that people take. And internal audit is also, I'm trying to fix my ring. Internal audit is a bit more flexible in terms of work schedule than if you are doing external audit in public accounting. So those are the auditing aspects of it. Oh, and you can also do government audit. You could be an auditor for the government as well. I think I'll link the girl's channel. She's also another accountant. I'll link her channel down below and write her name. I think she does more governmental stuff. So you guys can reach out to her if you guys are interested in that particular area of audit. So besides auditing, and consulting, you can go into the private sector right away, and you could be a staff accountant. So let's say you get an offer with BP or with ExxonMobil. I still have Texas in my mind, so I'm just thinking of those two. You will be a staff accountant for them, which means you'll work in their accounting department as a first level staff accountant. And a staff accountant, you have a lot of different functionality, but basically you are preparing the books of the company. You have different areas that you're focusing on, but essentially you guys are going through the accounting of the company and preparing to make sure that at month end, you guys are doing your month end close for your books to make sure that everything is tying out and matching prior to the auditors usually coming in and taking a look at that information. So, and staff accountant, I know a staff accountant as well. I will link her channel down below if you guys want to learn more about that. I'm not too familiar with staff accountants and what they do, but you are focusing on different areas of your company's financial statements and processes. So yeah, you could do that. Another area you could do is accounts receivable. You could be an accounts receivable clerk or accounts payable clerk, which means, and usually for that, you don't, in my experience, I haven't seen that you really need a college degree. You probably need an associate's degree, but sometimes people have just been doing it for a long time that with experience, you can do that. Obviously, you get paid more if you do have a college degree, but when you're an accounts payable or an accounts receivable clerk, that means that your focus is only on those areas. So accounts receivable is money coming in, which means if there's checks that customers are sending for payments, you're the person responsible for getting those payments and putting it in the system, processing it in the system, and so that the company that you're working for can receive that money and receive the payment from customers. And you're pretty much responsible for accounts receivable stuff. And usually there's about like 2-3 people, depending or more, depending on how big your company is. And then you have accounts payable, which is money going out. So any checks that your company has to pay to their vendors, you are ultimately responsible for putting that in the company system or sending out checks after they have been signed and getting that out to your vendors so that your company can essentially pay them. So those are some areas within being in the actual accounting department. And then you have payroll. You could go into the payroll area where you are solely focusing on payroll for your company. So hourly, salary, all those things. The payroll department is who deals with that, is who does the calculations and keeps track of everyone's time and how much they should be getting paid. And then they usually send that information on to a company like ADP who does payroll processing or paychecks. So you could go into the payroll department. You can go, some companies have the finance department and accounting department. And if you go into the finance department, you're doing some other things in finance that, like I said, I'm really not too sure of. But I know there's a lot of data analytics involved in finance as well. So maybe you could be doing something like that. You could be doing data analytics. If you have an accounting degree, sorry guys, like I'm checking my work emails as well, but yeah, so you could do data analytics within a finance or accounting department. And when you have more experience, this might be a video for another day, but when you have more experience and the more you move on, you can go into roles like being a controller, being an accounting manager, and you can ultimately become CFO. But that's usually not straight out of college, just after you've had a good amount of work experience. And typically when you have a CPA or some kind of certification, CPA, CIA, CMA, that usually helps when you get higher up within accounting. So let's say you start off in public accounting, you work there through your manager years, and then you decide ultimately you don't want to be partner. A lot of people then tend to go off and are controllers for, maybe it could be a bank or maybe it can be just a private company. And when I say private company, I don't necessarily mean companies that don't file to the SEC, that are not SEC filers. Like a private company, I'm just saying, like maybe they can go off and be a controller for, let me think of something that everybody might know. if you guys, I don't know if you guys know Kimberly Clark, that company that does like paper towels and stuff in the bathrooms at like industrial, is it industrial bathrooms? I don't know how to say it, but if you go to your job or you go to a public place and you see where they have like the toilet paper, that's Kimberly Clark. And they also do a lot of the like hand soap and things and different things. If you guys are interested in them, I know they're always recruiting for a bunch of roles. They recruit heavily at Penn State, so I will look into that. That's a good company too. But you could essentially be a controller for them, or you can go off to a bank, like let's say Wells, not a bank. Let's see, what could you be a controller for? Or maybe at ExxonMobil, and you could be a controller for them. So that's that. Or you could be a lot of people after senior year, in public accounting, they do their senior years, and then they're like, I really don't want to go and be a manager. They go off and are accounting managers for an accounting department for a company. I know a couple people who've left. Like this one girl left my current firm when I started, and now she's an assistant controller. She went off to be an assistant controller at another company, at a manufacturing company, just because she didn't want to be a senior. She did her experience. She started as an intern through staff, and then around the time she got promoted to senior, she just didn't want to do it. She got the opportunity to be an assistant controller, and yeah. And with that, I know I've been asked as well, in terms of like work-life balance, which one is better. I think it just depends on you. Obviously, I think when you go into industry as a staff accountant or AP, AR clerk, or something along those lines, like payroll processing, all that, you do have a better work-life balance. You're working a 9 to 5 versus public accounting, where your hours are not definite, because your hours typically just depend on what you have going on in the audit. And I do believe advisory consultants also don't work a typical 9 to 5 that I'm aware of. But with industry, if you're going to go into a staff accounting position like that, you do have moments where you're going to be working long hours, like month end. During close month end processes, you're going to be working extra hours because it's the end of the month. You guys are closing your books for that month, so that is time consuming within the department. And then also during year end, same thing, where or during quarters. So there's a few times of the year where you will be working longer, but overall you're working a 9 to 5. And in public accounting as well, you have one-offs. Unless you have a client whose busy season is in the summer, typically you will be working 9 to 5. I say 9 to 5 loosely, but you won't be working like super late hours in the summer months. You'll be working maybe when you're doing your quarters. So around like end of March, April, in June, and in September, October, you'll be working a little bit later. But ultimately, if your busy season is not in the summer months, you will be working a regular 9-hour day for the most part. And then I know a lot of companies, my firm is implementing this, and a lot of firms, I believe, in public are starting to implement just flexible work schedules. So it's if you have other things going on, obviously around busy season, flexibility is given, but it really depends on the situation. But I know like outside of busy season, a lot of people they have flex schedules. So if you want to coach like a football or soccer team or something, maybe you can work around that, where you're working earlier, working through lunches, and everybody knows that, and then you're leaving at 3:00 every day. Or you're gonna work regular hours, but if you leave at 3, after whatever you have going on is done, you get back online and complete your work. A lot of people are just like, just get your work done. As long as you get your work done and you're meeting the deadlines, you should be fine. And that's usually more so when it's not in busy season. Because during busy season, they want to make sure that everybody has similar amounts of work and that you're not running out of work and that you're not like slacking. They want to make sure that work is getting done and you have tighter deadlines, obviously. So yeah, I think that's what I could tell you guys. In terms of pay, I think pay just depends. I do believe that if you start off in just going into straight like staff accounting and similar roles to that, you're not making as much when you start off, but as you go along, you then make more versus if you're going into public accounting. Not saying that public accountants make a lot, because we are overworked and underpaid. Everybody knows that, but you do make a little bit more. And then once you leave public accounting and go into private, you get a big pay raise. But then again, there's like different situations. Like I'll bring up BP or Exxon again because I was offered jobs with these companies. So for BP, my salary was going to start off in the high 60s, almost 70s, starting off fresh out of college. Versus public accounting, where I started off at 55. I started off in the 55 range. And yeah, I'm not afraid to tell you guys what I was making when I first started. So I was making around like 55, like in 55, I think, or 55.5, something like that. When I started in public accounting. However, the difference was in public accounting, you move up the ladder quicker. So even though the pay was a little bit less than working at BP, however, I know that I'm getting promoted and I'm getting more levels of responsibility added each year that I move up. Versus when you're going straight into industry, you can be making more. However, your levels of responsibilities might be the same, and then your pay raises might not be as frequent. So in public accounting, you're always getting a pay bump. You're always getting a bonus. You're always getting a pay raise, essentially. But in industry, that might not necessarily be the case. So for example, let's say you start off as a staff, and then somebody else starts off at BP as a staff. By the time you're a manager in public accounting, they could still be a staff accountant, or they could be maybe just a senior, because turnover is typically less in industry, and there's not as much opportunity for growth. There is opportunity for growth, but just not as frequent as public accounting. Public accounting, you're moving up every year and there's always turnover. So there's always room for somebody else to just promote you to senior. So not to say that that's how it works, but that's just like the dumbed down version of it. So I hope I was able to help you guys, but actually let me look up the salary for someone starting off as a staff in industry versus in public. And I'm just going to refer to Texas because that's where my career ultimately started. And then I'll do DC. I'll look up a few of them for you real quick. So staff accountant salary, entry level. My AC is so loud. Okay, according to Glassdoor, it says that the national average salary for an entry-level staff accountant is $55,622 in the United States, and this is from 2014. So let me see. Yeah, so I'm looking here for some private industries. It's like 48,000, 45, like, so from the 40s to the 50s entry level, that's what you should be making. And that's when you're working in a company. Versus public accounting, you're starting off in the mid to upper 50s, And also remember, this depends on where you live. So somebody in New York is obviously making more than somebody living in like Oklahoma or something. So yeah, so that's what I was able to find. If you guys want me to do a more detailed, I have a public accounting salary video, but if you guys want me to do specifically on industry, let me know and I could make a video for you guys. So and I'm not gonna edit this video. Like I said, this is just me talking to you guys, answer your questions. Like, I hope I feel better soon so that I can really get my content back up. And if you guys have any other videos that you guys want me to make, just go ahead and comment down below or comment on that community post that I have. And next week I will get back to my energetic self. So I hope you guys enjoy this. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one.